The pain hit first, a sharp, guttural sting. The metal scraping against bone felt like a slow burn. I couldn't breathe. Blood pooled, warm and thick, on my skin as I looked at her. At them. My wife stood in the doorway, leaning against the frame, her eyes betraying nothing. Her brother, half drunk, held the screwdriver like an absurd weapon, a clownish instrument of violence that belonged in some twisted joke. "You're so dramatic," she said, her voice too calm, too practiced. The words bounced off me. They didn't even land. I tried to stand, but the blood was too much. My body trembled, twitching, fighting against the haze settling in my skull. I could barely move, but I didn't need to. I already knew what was happening, what had been happening for months. I fumbled for my phone, my fingers slick with red. I sent an SOS, and before the world turned black, I saw her smile. Not a hint of concern, just amusement. When I woke up, the world felt different. It wasn't just the dull ache in my shoulder that had me shaking. It was the silence, the quiet, heavy weight of a truth I hadn't been ready to face. I thought I'd known her. The woman I married, she was supposed to be mine, in every sense of the word. We had a life together, a future. But the threads had started unraveling months ago. The late nights, the disappearing phone calls, the half-lies. They were small, subtle, but they weren't random. They were pieces of something far darker. The first time I noticed, I laughed it off. I told myself I was paranoid. But then it happened again. Her brother. Always there. Always too close. At first, I thought it was just sibling closeness, but I couldn't shake the feeling. The more I watched, the more I realized something was off. And when I confronted her about the late nights, about the sudden distance, she gave me the same look she always did. The one that said, "You're overthinking it." But I wasn't overthinking it. It didn't take long to start digging. A phone call here, an email there. I kept my face impassive, my actions calculated. I couldn't afford to let them see, to let her see. If she knew, if she suspected, this entire thing would fall apart. I started with his phone. It wasn't hard to get into. He was always drunk or high, always careless with his security. The messages were all there, tucked in threads I couldn't ignore. Her name, over and over, in ways that didn't belong between siblings. Words, phrases, things I wasn't supposed to read. But there they were, like a black stain on a white sheet. I didn't feel anger, not yet, just a cold realization. I already knew. It wasn't just a fling, it was something far worse, something planned, something intimate. I kept the screen dimmed when I showed her, just a quick glance. I didn't need to see it again. I already knew the truth. But the look on her face, that was worth it. The test results came back 2 days later. I didn't need to read them again. The numbers, the DNA, all of it confirmed what I had already known in my gut. But when I handed her the envelope, she looked at me with that same empty smile, like she thought this was just another part of the game. But I wasn't playing anymore. I slid the envelope across the table, the harsh sound of paper against wood cutting through the air. "You know what that is," I said, my voice void of any emotion. She glanced at it. Her eyes flickered with a brief flash of something. Fear? No, not fear. Something worse. The realization that she couldn't control the situation anymore. She opened the envelope slowly. The silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. The silence didn't last long. "Why?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. I didn't answer. There was no point in answering. Not anymore. She had nothing left to say. She couldn't explain away what I had in front of me. Her brother's texts, the lies, the entire facade she had built. It was all in my hands now. I watched her break. The tears, the shaking, the horror in her eyes, it was all so predictable. But I didn't feel anything. I stood up and turned away, my back to her. I didn't need to raise my voice. I didn't need to make her beg. That would have been easy, too easy. Instead, I gave her something worse: silence. I walked out the door without a word. The air outside felt cold, sharp against my skin. I had already won. She would be left to pick up the pieces of her own shattered world. There was nothing left for me here. Not her, not him. They could have each other. They could burn in their own hell, in the mess they made. I was done. I didn't look back. I left everything behind: the house, the life, the woman who was never really mine. There was no anger, no regret, just a quiet understanding. I had been broken once, but I was no longer the man I used to be. I didn't feel it when she cried. I didn't feel anything anymore. She wasn't the only one capable of betrayal.